Hi folks, Chris Voss here from the Chris Voss Show.com, the Chris Voss Show.com. Hey, it's Chris Voss Show Podcast with Jason Nunnally. How you doing, Jason?
I am fantastic.
Wow, you're definitely not as excited as I am right now. I could pee my pants.
Really? Why would you want to
Good morning, Vietnam! That's how excited I am. You're like on the other side of the comedian where you're about ready to kill yourself. So, wow, there was like a whole career thing there that took place.
Oh.
Is that too soon?
Yeah, a little too.
Oh, Robert Williams too soon? All right, I'll put that back in the closet until later. Oh! With David Carradine. So anyway, I loved Robin Williams. He was a great man. So, we're here today to talk about, I don't know, whatever the fuck's going on social media, mainly the Bendy iPhone. Look how much my iPhone bends, Jason.
That's amazing. Well, I've got my iPhone Plus right here, and it's just, you know, I haven't had this problem.
Yeah, it just flops. Or you just see that with a pencil when you're a kid. Like,
yes.
Look, it bends. And like all the stupid young kids would be like, that's magic. You'd be like, now give me your money, your lunch money. So, what do you think about the Bendy iPhone? You have a Plus then, right?
No, I didn't get one. I made a promise. I was making a joke. I was holding this up, my Mini.
Oh.
I said, I've got my Plus. You know what? I've got an iPad Mini, one of the most useless tools I have. I really just made a decision I was not going to get on. I was going to wait and see what people said about it. And I would have gone out and got the Plus because it's the biggest one. And I would have gotten it with the most amount of memory. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad I didn't because it's a little big and it's a little cumbersome.
You know, I mean, it is taller. You take a look. Here's the Note 3, which a lot of people think is big. And what's funny was with the Note, all the big tech blogs, you know, made fun of how stupid and big it was. But as soon as Apple comes out with one, they're like, you know, falling over their own.
Hold those side by side because, I mean, that is ridiculous.
So if you look at this closely enough, you can see that the iPhone 6 is actually taller. Yeah. So when it comes to potential bendability, that extra little bit makes a difference. Now, I've seen that they've bent a Note 3 on the internet already. So, you know, all these phones are bendable if you apply enough force. And, I mean, you know, only an idiot, and I think some of the people that really that bent this thing so far, they put it in their back pocket and sat on it. You know they did.
You know, the story I saw, the one story I saw was the guy put it in his front pocket and drove. Yeah. And the thing is, that's so much pressure to bend. I mean, if you look at the pressure it takes to bend that device, The Verge had the video of it. That's a lot of pressure. If you had that on your crotch, that would not be a pleasant trip. Yeah,
you would not be having fun. Your blood pressure might be cut off. You know, your leg would be hurting after a 2-hour drive. You know.
Well, let's think about. So here's the iPhone 5, right? And the iPhone 5 is, especially with a little bit of a micro case on it, even if you put this in your pocket, you can get away with it because it'll slide down, and you can walk around. You put it in your back pocket. You probably even sit on it. They just got a big phone. It's just
they got a big phone, and it is thin. I mean, one of the beautiful parts about it is thin. But one thing that's interesting is if you look at how the iPhone 5S is built, it does have this ridge going around it, this wire piece that's separate. So bending it, I don't know, you might be able to get it to bend in the middle. But bending it is going to be hard because of the way it's attached to this piece. This piece kind of acts as like a, I don't know, a skeleton. I don't know, or a backbone.
I talked about that. If they, you know, a little bit of a rail in the iPhone 6, they had done a little rail on the outside. I know aluminum is valuable.
This is just a solid piece body, and it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you, I can see if you put it up in the right place, that sucker's going to bend, especially where these buttons are, because that's going to be the weakest points. And that's where everyone's bending it. They're bending it right about there. And so these buttons here are probably the weakest points of the case, given they have the holes there, and then you've got your SIM card tray on the other side. So right there is the weakest link in the system. If you want to bend this, the guy Unboxing Therapy on YouTube, who decided to go ahead and bend his, must be great. You can just destroy a $700 phone. He found that you couldn't really bend it in the middle. You've had to bend up at this weaker point. So.
Okay, so note to people who bought the iPhone 6 Plus or the iPhone 6 for that matter, don't sit on your phone. Don't sit on your phone.
But I mean, I've looked at this phone. I've kind of gone, you know what? I probably should never sit on this phone because this phone's probably going to break or bend. I mean, it's a big-ass phone. I'm even surprised it's bigger than the Note 3. I was kind of like, really? Wow.
So did you ever, I'm just curious, did you ever have a phone that you thought was appropriate to just throw in your pocket? I mean, when's the last time you had a phone that you thought, hey, I'm going to toss this in my pocket?
I put the Note 3 in my front pocket all the time. I'm always carrying around. But I kind of have baggy pants, as you know. I'm a big fat man. I have baggy pants. This thing, it's kind of gotten jammed between the door and sometimes my pocket in my car or the seat. But it's never really bent for me. Yeah. But what's funny is the folks at LG that make the LG Flex. Let me see if I can find it here real quick for you all. They make the LG Flex, which of course is a phone that's designed to flex. They put out a tweet making fun of the iPhone. They said, "Oh yeah, you should." Now see, this is a big screen. This is a 6-inch screen. Let's compare these two. Wow, they're the same size. Look at that. So
huge device, man.
I'm gonna have to do a video versus comparison with the LG Flex and be like, well, the LG Flex is better because it bends, but it's supposed to.
You should put that up.
I will. So I mean, here's the LG Flex, and watch what we can do. You can bend it. See me bending it and stuff?
Yep.
And it's designed to take the punishment and pop back into place. It even has a self-healing scratch area back here, although I've seen some people do some permanent damage that really go at it. But a lot of scratches, it has a self-healing plastic back to it that will heal itself, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, this thing is designed, and it was funny, so they came out with a tweet making fun of the iPhone. But this is designed to fit in your pocket and take some abuse. Now, I'm not sure that I would put this in my back pocket and sit on this phone, because I just really don't trust, that much. But it is designed to take a little bit of a beating.
Well, I mean, I think it's funny. This is sort of the bendgate. To me, it's sort of Tim Cook's version of remember the radio problem.
The antenna gate.
Yeah.
Antenna gate.
What was it called?
Antenna gate.
Antenna gate. Antenna gate. What happened was they put that. Funny enough, because they put the support frame around the outside of the phone, that little piece of metal would drown out your radio signal if you'd hold your hand on it.
Yep.
And a friend of mine made a crack to me, texted me a little while ago, made a crack. He said, how long do you expect before Tim Cook retires? This is a minor problem. It's just not a big deal.
Yeah, it's really not a big deal. I mean, don't sit on your phone. Doesn't
don't sit on your phone make a lot more sense than don't hold it that way?
Yeah, this is definitely different than antenna gate. But, hey, this isn't going to interfere with your signal. Well, I guess if you sit on it long enough, it will interfere with your signal. I mean, the guy at Unboxing Therapy bent it so far you could see the screen was lifting off. So, at that point, you're probably going to have some performance issues.
That is an expensive video.
He gets like 250,000 people to watch each of his videos, so I think he's made enough dough off of YouTube to make that work. So
What do you think about iOS 8? You're using the Plus. Do you think iOS 8 is...
works good on the Plus. It's definitely a fast phone. It's actually benchmarking faster than the Androids. The only question I always have about this benchmarking the iOS product against the Android product is you have two different types of OSs. It's kind of like me benchmarking the Windows against the Mac. You know what I mean? There's whole different lines of code that are different and how it executes, and trying to compare software to software influence on these phones is, I don't know.
Scoble argument that, Scoble makes this argument all the time about iPhone. Aside from the culture aspect, he makes the integration of the hardware and the software. One of the problems with Android, which is the same problem with Windows, is that hardware for Windows, hardware for Android, isn't designed specifically for the operating system. And one of the arguments in favor of the Apple price tag is that Apple engineers the hardware to spec out for the software. It's the operating system, the baseline, the core functionality. It's all one company. It's one set of engineers, and you end up with even though the silicon may not be as fast, even though the memory may not be as big, it's a much better experience for the user. So
yeah, even the apps are designed to work with the OS and the hardware. So yeah, I don't really think you can compare the benchmarks very well on both these devices. But it definitely is fast.
That's sort of an anti-Voss argument, is it not? I mean, the Voss argument is that specs matter.
I'm telling you, it benchmarks faster than Android. What that means, I don't really know, but it does. So I'm going with the Voss spec argument. I have to call it like it is and tell the truth. I'm not happy about it, but
well, as a phone, you're using it. What do you think? Number one, you like a piece of real estate. So you've done that before. Do you think the real estate's well used? Do you think it's useful? Have you found it?
I think it's definitely well used. I think it. I really wasn't that excited when I found it was taller than the Note 3. I was like, really, do we have to go there? Because what's interesting about the Note 3 is the Note 3 is a 5.7-inch screen, so it's actually a bigger screen on the Note 3. Comparatively, this is a 5.5-inch screen. So how come a 0.2-inch smaller screen has to have that much more case?
For the button.
For the button, the fingerprint button.
Giant button.
And they obviously couldn't even get the camera in. You've heard about this thing with the camera sticking out.
Yeah, the extension of the camera. But it does have the new man-made sapphire lens on it.
It does, but this thing does get caught on stuff.
See, I'm much more interested in seeing somebody test the sapphire lens and its scratchability. Is that a word?
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
There's videos you can find all over YouTube doing it. A friend of mine, I guess Kaya Sarah, just used a sapphire screen on theirs, and I just watched him try and destroy the screen with rocks and granite, and he filled a whole bag full of screws, nails, and stuff, and he like rolling around the bag, and then he drugs keys across it. Yeah, it survived.
Well, that's the reason that Tudors and Rolexes for so long had the sapphire lens, and all the higher-end Swiss-made watches were using sapphire. And that was back in the day when they used real sapphire.
Yeah.
Now with man-made sapphire, I assume it's no time in the future we'll have sapphire on all of our screens.
I would imagine eventually. I read a thing that one of the reasons they couldn't get it on the iPhone 6 was because it would cost about $100 per handset to put it on. But I'm not sure that's true because I was just watching Kaya Sarah with one of their cheap handsets that they use sapphire. So who knows? I don't know.
I thought it was a production. I thought it was a supply chain problem. They simply didn't.
I think part of it was that too. They just couldn't get their shit together soon enough. I don't know. You'd have to ask Tim Cook. He knows more than we do.
And this brings me to my argument, or suggestion for Apple I've been making for years, which is that Apple really ought to tier up one more version of the device and make a more destruction-resistant device. one more tier up. I mean, for those of us out here paying for the the 128 gigs of storage, and we're paying for the the iPhone Plus, iPhone 6 Plus, or whatever. Especially those of us that are upgrading every year or so. What's another $100? Give me a little thicker phone. Give me a little more battery. Give me a rail on the outside that protects it from being bendable or damaged easily. Give me a stronger device, and hell, add another $100 on there and give me a sapphire screen. I think I'd pay an extra $100 for a sapphire screen. $100. I mean, I keep my phones for a year or two, a whole year, or maybe even 2 years if it's if they don't come up with a really amazing iPhone 6s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just wonder why Apple, and that goes for the Android guys too. Give me a little better end, a little better defense against the elements.
Well, I think Samsung has finally seen the error of its ways, especially with the low sales that came out of the Samsung S5. They ended up firing the guy who was running it, and they've determined that they need to build better cases to give better perception of quality of phones. They definitely have built really good software, really good features into their phones, great cameras. But the one part they have always skimped on in return for that probably is just building a nice, hard, beautiful case. There's the new case that's coming out called the Samsung Galaxy. I don't have it, but it's going to be a metal case. It's coming out soon through AT&T.com. And let me see if I can find the data on it. I think it's called the Samsung Alpha, Samsung Galaxy Alpha. But yeah, I definitely would like to see more of that from Samsung. I think that really is one of the that's whenever I'm arguing with iPhone people, that's like the first thing they do. Oh, it's a plasticky phone. Yeah, but at least it's current.
I bought the S5 for my wife, and it's a great phone.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that phone. That's a great phone.
The Samsung S5?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I get talking about the S5 and the 5S, and it just gets confusing as hell.
I bought the S5, and it's still a solid phone.
Was she pretty happy with it?
Oh, thrilled. Yeah, she loves it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's got good battery life. It's a good operating system experience. It's
a great camera on it. It's got one of the best cameras I think out there.
She raised the camera. Loves it.
Yeah. She probably takes lots of pictures of her pool boy.
Yes.
In his G-string thong.
Yeah. A lot of close up.
They frolic by the pool.
Right. Yeah. High definition. HDR.
I have the images of who was that guy with the one-piece thong in that movie from Tajikistan or whatever it was.
Oh, you're talking about Sacha Cohen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much for the little girl? Every time someone introduces me their good-looking daughter, I think of that line. How much for the little girl? And I'm talking they're like teenage daughters.
Yeah.
So that are hot. Yeah. How much for the little girl? We're not talking like children. Give me a break. But that joke just really went off the rails. I just stepped right into a fucking minefield.
That was almost as good as your 10 for 10.
Stepped right into the minefield.
Almost as good.
Could not dig myself out of that setup. Oh, wow. I give up. I'm in the hole. I'm fucked.
And send an email to Chris Voss Show at...
Hello, Parole Agent? Yes, I'll be in later today. So anyway, let's see. I was trying to find information. This is what happened. I was trying to find information on the Samsung Alpha. The Samsung Galaxy Alpha, it's coming to AT&T September 26th. It's going to have a metal frame and slim build with a 4.7-inch screen, and they're really bragging on it because it's going to be, this first, I guess the first metal Samsung Galaxy Alpha. So I'll probably have that to review, which should be pretty cool.
I'm looking forward to seeing somebody come out with a frame that just resists the elements. It's just not a complicated concept. We're all going out and buying phones. But we're buying these $700-800 phones, and then we're then going out and buying a crappy $20, $30 case or an $80 case, and it adds so much bulk and so much bad experience to the phone. You know, I want a really slick, well-made case on a phone that I don't have to go buy an add-on in order for it to last. Like that stupid thing they did with the camera on the iPhone 6. Holy crap! Protect the camera. It's the most valuable thing on the stupid device, and you're going to just stick it out there in the front and let me scratch the crap out of it.
You know, it's going to be interesting how one of my favorite folks that I work with, and they send me a ton of stuff, and I know the CEO and I know their PR people really well, is Olaclip. And Olaclip sends me all the cool Olaclips. And Olaclip's gig has always been this thing where they make these clip lenses that will slide over the edges of the phone, right? Why can't I find you and what screen you're on? There you are. All right, so if you're familiar with Olaclip, you take your 5S and you slide it over the edge, and you suddenly have lenses, right?
Right.
And this has been Olaclip's gig forever. It just completely slides over. Well, they're going to have to come up with some sort of new thing for this because there's no way that's sliding over. And even then, I don't know if it'll hold. They're going to have to come up with some kind of weird clip way to, I don't know.
What do you think about the roundness of the edges they did with the 6? Do you like that, or is that still sort of...
I actually do. What happens is, if you look at the screen, it bevels and tapers at the end. I don't know which is the right word, so I'm using both. But on both sides, it bevels and tapers at the ends. And the roundness gives it not only a great ergonomic feel, but it also just looks really pristine, really beautiful. But it gives you this feeling with the tapering and the roundness that it's really super thin, much thinner than it really is in the center, of course. Now, I do think that this looked much better. This looked more professional, especially with the beveled, chiseled, whatever edges that you had. I thought this looked really cool with the rails, and I thought this looked a little bit more cheaper. But it does a nice job. I don't have any complaints about it, considering everyone says I hate iPhones. And really, I just really want the best for my money when it comes to, I mean, if I'm going to spend $700, do I want a Ferrari or a Yugo? So.
Yugo, showing your age there.
I know, huh? All the kids at home are going, Mommy, what's a Yugo? Chris Voss said Yugo. Like anybody under 40 watches the show.
Let's talk about apps for a half second. What is hot? I downloaded Taco. Taco, is that how you say it?
Yeah, whatever.
And I hit you up on Taco, and
you did?
Well, I thought I did. I thought I sent you a message.
Here, let me see. You're like Chris Voss is ignoring me again. Oh, I have 3 messages on here.
There you go. So here's the thing about Taco. I read an article. As a matter of fact, I shared it on my page.
I don't even show any messages from you. I got Robert Scoble and Matthew Rappaport.
You know what? I might have gotten lazy. I might have just decided it wasn't worth it.
You're a retard.
I sent a couple.
You messages on Taco and you didn't answer, bud.
No, I wasn't complaining. So the point I was about to make was that Taco. It was a Verge article actually that I just read, and it talks about the founder, and the idea was Ozzy's idea is that notifications are evil. He doesn't want to hear rings. He doesn't want you interfering with what he's doing. They want you to basically send him a message, and then he'll get around to it when he gets around to it. And you probably know this is how I operate. I do everything asynchronous. I hate taking phone calls. I don't like getting interrupted. I hate the messenger annoyance, even on the iPhone. It constantly harasses you about turning on notifications. I have no notifications on anything. And until I read that article, I thought this is the dumbest app idea I've ever seen. It's a bad ripoff of WhatsApp and Voxer. But then I read the article and I thought, at least the concept behind it, asynchronous communications, is something I can get behind. I like that idea. Getting rid of the conference call is dead. It's so obnoxious. Just send me your information, send me the notice. Anyway, I'm going to give it another hard try. Just just because of that article. Although it's still kind of boring.
Looks like some people are starting to use Taka now because we're talking about it. So so I just got something from Jennifer. Jennifer, you want to come on the show? Are you watching? Oh, Jennifer's watching the show. Why don't we invite Jennifer and see what she thinks about the Bendy iPhone?
Does Jennifer have a Bendy iPhone? Did she get a Bendy?
She's with Sprint, so I'm sure that they've something. I know Sprint.
Does Sprint have the iPhone? Did they get it day one?
I actually really don't know. We were across the road from them at the AT&T store, and we had a line, and they didn't have any line. It's pretty sad. So we'll invite Jennifer here and see if she wants to join us. I think she's joining us now as we speak. I've been talking about having her on the podcast, and then she went on a trip or something and stuff. Maybe she won't. Taco now.
Hey, Chris.
We're in a podcast, for the love of God. You can't tell me. You just can't tell me something. Hey, Chris, we're on a podcast. You know what? I'm going to send you a message through a private messaging service.
I'm just looking at the app.
You're sitting right fucking here.
Why is the application interesting? I don't. There's a lot of people using it. Is it just because of the guy?
It's just because Scoble said it was kind of cool. That's the only reason I download apps anymore. If Scoble's like, hey, I like this app, I check it out. Hey, Jennifer.
Is Jennifer in? Hey, Jennifer.
I can see your avatar.
Oh.
No video?
No video. Can you hear me on here?
Yeah,
I think I have.
Did we catch you lounging around the house naked?
You know what? I have multiple audio sources. Let me close the video feed that I'm watching you on. There we go. Right. I'm here now.
Yeah. The camera that we set up, the Dropbox, seems to be working. We can see it perfectly nude in your house.
Oh, God. You have access, and you have access to my Piper, too, so you can see me there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to turn the temperature down a little on your Nest, though. You're running a little hot there.
My apologies. I don't have a mic. I just have I'm on my work computer, so yeah. I don't have a mic.
Did you get the Bendy iPhone from the old Sprint folks there?
I do not have it yet. Sprint has a policy where we make certain that all the consumers are able to get their hands on the phone, since it is such in high demand right now. So we do not have them for the employees yet. So I played with it, but I do not have the Bendy phone.
What was your impression of the iPhone 6s?
I think they're beautiful. I definitely love the design. However, I think the iPhone 6, kind of like what you were saying, I think there's too much space. There's too much bezel. There's too much wasted space. The thing is too big for a 5.5-inch screen. When I'm using my LG G3 with a 5.5-inch screen, that whole beautiful device is the screen, and the iPhone 6 is, I think, a little bit too large. But, from playing around with it, the little bit that I have, it's definitely a faster device with the A8 chip. People that I know have been really loving it, and, so we'll see. It's definitely a huge seller, as we all know.
Chris, on spec, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. The interesting thing about the A8 silicon that came out with the iPhone 6, it's only 25% faster than the silicon that came out with the 5S.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's only 25% faster.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Apple is that it looks like they've really sort of rejected Moore's Law. And it's interesting to see that they're not that interested in getting the spec speed on these silicon upgrades the same way that, say, Intel was back in the day when they were fighting in the mobile CPU space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she brings up a good point with the LG G3, which is a beautiful screen. I love this phone. This is the phone that I use now. I just recently quit using the Note 3 and switched to this. And what's amazing about this phone is it's the same. Isn't this a 5.5 or a 5.7?
5.5-inch screen, right?
Yeah, so this is a 5.5-inch screen. Look how big this thing is compared to the Note 3, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the key to them is LG just went bezel to bezel pretty much almost with the screen. I mean, it goes right to the edge.
Yeah.
And it's actually thinner than the Note 3. Now, the Note 3 does have a 5.7-inch screen, so let's give it that. It's got a 0.2-inch bigger screen. But this is a QHD screen, which is pretty crazy. But here's a 5.5-inch screen with a 5.5-inch screen, and there it is compared to the iPhone 6.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit thicker than the iPhone 6 by a couple milligrams, or a couple grams, or a couple centimeters or something. Millimeters. That's what I'm looking for. But and it's even, the LG is even thinner than the body on the iPhone 6. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. It's not really working. I'm not coordinated enough for this shit. But yeah, you can see there's a humongous amount of space that this thing took up here. And what's even funnier is there's a 13 megapixel camera in here, and there's a front-facing camera that's probably one of the largest front-facing cameras ever, a 3.7-inch front-facing camera. Well, this is only 1.2. On top of that, there's 3 gigabytes of RAM in here.
Thank you.
And this thing will do 4K video recording. This thing will barely do 1080p at 60 frames per second. This thing will do 4K fucking video recording.
Okay, let me add to that. Also, furthermore, it allows for the micro SD, expandable up to 128 gigs, much more affordable, thank you, than the iPhone 6.
And a removable battery, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win.
And it's got laser focus. I mean, this thing's got more stuff in it than this sucker does.
Mm-hmm.
And when they had to make this ginormous
Bendy, bendable phone.
You know, I think what they did is they just kind of stuck with this design because they didn't want to change it, because it's kind of like it is the look of the iPhone when it comes down to it, you know? Mm-hmm. We're like, hey, if we're going to make this thing motherfucking big, we might as well just make it look the same so that people just kind of, well, it's an iPhone, you know? So don't do anything radical with the look. But yeah, I mean, not being able to perform a screen-to-screen like this thing is, or edge-to-edge screen like the LG, is just insane. And that shows you how far behind, when you look at the specs on this phone, how far behind these jokers are. I think this might be 32 gig of memory. I can't remember, but I think it's got 32 gig.
Yeah, you're right. It starts with 32. 32 on board. Mm-hmm.
And this is only 16. This is the base model 16. Yeah. And if you want more, you of course have to pay for it.
And you only get one shot.
LG really did an amazing job of putting the buttons on the back as well. You know.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I love about this phone, and I've gotten so used to it that I keep tapping all my other phones, including the iPhone. But I love this. Watch this. When you want to pull out a standby, you just tap it twice, and it comes out of standby.
That's nice.
It's awesome. You don't have to find any buttons. I love that. I love it. Just and it's gotten so bad. I've gotten so used to it that I keep going up to my other phones and sit at my desk and I'll like tap and I'll be like, "Hey, how come it's not waking up?"
I love it. It's my favorite phone to date. It really is. It's hard to stop using it and try to use something else.
I thought it was funny though that LG Flex made fun of them, being like, "Well, you should have bought an LG Flex if you really wanted a Flex phone." You know, what I really think is that Apple want us to have phones that we can twist and adjust, kind of like Play-Doh, and then they become our own personal phones.
We leave our personal marks on them, definitely. Yeah. The shape of your behind, you know, is what we want it to look like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can bend your phone so it'll fit in your back pocket to the shape of your ass just perfectly. God forbid you should gain any weight. Well, if you gain any weight, it'll just bend more.
It'll bend more. It's just kind of more.
Those guys at Apple think of everything. I gotta tell you though, you guys see all the videos I do, comparisons between the iPhone and the Android phones. Mm-hmm. Every video I have, starting like yesterday sometime, and it's worse this morning. Every video I have talking about how great the iPhone is, the trolls are all over the YouTube videos going, "Yeah, that's a really great phone. That, you know, the fact that it bends, what a great feature." They're just killing it. They are just killing it.
They're having a heyday with it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they're just meatballs having a good time going. We found a horse to ride into the ground.
Yeah, so they pay so much money for this phone, and for it to do something like that is just crazy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's invite Lance on. We'll see if Lance just texted me. We'll see if he can get on his phone. Lance Mayfield. I don't know if you guys. Well, I know Jason knows him, but we'll ring him. But yeah, so I mean, you work with Sprint, so you're probably going to eventually get the iPhone.
I will. I'll be getting it in a few months. Actually, they actually, and I think Verizon does the same thing. They make it so the employees kind of have to wait, which that makes sense with there being such in high demand right now. So.
Yeah. The what was I going to ask you? What are some latest phones that Sprint's had come out? They send me phones every now and then.
You know which one I'm testing out right now is the kid sister for the M8, the HTC One E8. Yeah, that one, it came out initially internationally, and then we just launched it just a few weeks ago. We just started selling it just the other day, and I've been testing that out for the past couple of weeks, and it's fantastic. It operates pretty much like the M8, but it is a lower cost model of it, so the entry price point is looking at like $100 for a 2-year contract to get this phone. But it has the same exact specs as the M8, except for it has 16 gigs onboard storage versus 32, and the camera is a 13 megapixel versus the ultra pixel. I think it was like a 4 ultra pixel, I think, for the M8. Yeah. So, but spec-wise, is not as robust as an LG G3, but it ranks up there amongst all the other high-tier phones. 2 gigs of RAM. Oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember all the specs, and I can't now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm gonna tell you, that LG G3, I've never seen a phone download software and install it faster.
I have become an LG fangirl. I'm wearing my LG Tone Pros. I'm using the LG G3 phone, and then my LG G Watch. So it's all LG now for me. I don't know. I totally switched, I love it. They put out some great stuff.
I've always bragged on LG for a long time. For a long time, they were just kind of treated as a stupid stepchild, and they made great phones. And I used to brag on people and tell people, I'm like, I remember when the LG Optimus G came out. It was one of the fastest benchmark phones. I think it was one of the first that came out with a 1080p screen. Just beautiful, gorgeous phone. And people were looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about, LG. But yeah, they definitely have come a long way. I think you still need some UI work. But yeah, I love my LG phone. I got the LG Flex. I've got a few different ones. And Lance doesn't know that you can't call in that way.
What do you guys think about HTC making supposedly the new Nexus?
I'm not a big fan of HTC phones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out which phone is ringing.
They used to make a really good product. HTC at one time was a nice higher end phone.
Yeah.
And I don't, I'm interested to see what they do with that, but I don't know if I've seen an HTC phone that I consider to be a really good phone recently.
Yeah.
There's some real UI issues. They fixed a lot of stuff with the M8. I see the phone you have here. They fixed a lot of stuff with the M8, but they still have plenty of work to do. The Kyocera Hydro Vibe. I wonder if that's the one with the. I just saw someone. This must be it. The Kyocera Torque, where I saw somebody. It's got a sapphire screen, and somebody just tore it up.
Oh, the Torque. We carry the Torque. And
is that the one with the sapphire screen?
Yeah, I believe it was. I know it also had the something with the. Oh gosh, it's been a long time since I played with that phone. The audio, where you're able to kind of just put it up to your ear, and the screen itself makes the sound. In other words, has the audio coming out of the screen somehow.
Like bone connectivity, like they have with the.
Yeah, that's it. The bone connectivity. Yep, that's it. Yeah.
I can never hear my Google Glass for shit through the bone connectivity, especially there's background noise. Like if I'm driving down the road and stuff, I always have to have the earpiece.
Are you still using it, your Google Glass?
Yeah, I actually I got a new one, and black one.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is you can't get this mirror piece on the end.
Right.
Don't ever get that wet or leave it out in the sun.
Oh.
Yeah, that's actually not a piece of plastic right there. That's actually just a piece of like foilish, chromish mirror material skin, super thin. And I left mine. It was in the hot car. I didn't want the sun hitting it, but somehow it scrunched up either through getting some moisture on it or something. And they were nice enough to return it.
Oh, that's great.
Give me a new one. They're pretty cool about it.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. What was that process when you had that damaged?
Oh, wow. It was like magical. I took in, it was on a Saturday during Labor Day weekend, right? There's Lance. Hey, Lance.
Hi.
Hi, Lance.
Hi, guys.
Broadcast car.
Oh, this is...
parent conference this week, so I got to pick up kids like 11:40 and stuff like that.
This is completely safe. You're driving while you have kids in the car
I'm not
talking
holding
on
it.
That's true. It's on speaker.
Is the kid holding it or what?
No, it's my right arm.
It's your right arm?
So when California Highway Patrol pulls him over, I believe this will be evidence.
Yeah.
In California, there is that law, right? It's a no, you can't, it has to be all hands free. Okay.
Yes.
We should probably let you go because I don't want to be responsible for you and your kids, well, maybe your kid's death.
I'm in the back roads. I'm just pulling over in about 2 minutes to get to my other kid's school.
Yeah, that's what they all say. That's what famous last words right there. So.
I was just sending Mom a short text message.
Yeah. I love you, Mom. I'll see you soon. So what do you think of the Bendy iPhone? You bought some iPhones, right? 6s?
Me? No.
All right.
Sounds like you bought an iPhone.
So I think we need to boot Lance because we're gonna boot Lance. We're gonna boot you, Lance, because your video and audio is shit.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, man. Okay. Let's Sam Levin just called me. Let's try and bring Sam into this. See what Sammy thinks. Sam Levin.
I haven't called Sammy in so long. I hope he joins.
He just tried to call me. I imagine he's watching and he wants to come on. We were supposed to do a hangout before the iPhone 6 got launched. So what's going on with Sprint? Is there anything new going on over there with you guys?
Well, gosh, yeah, a lot is going on. Well, phone-wise, when we're talking about phones, we're pretty much launching all the same phones that all the other carriers are launching, right? So the Note 3, the Note 4 is coming out, the Note 4 Edge, and we will be getting the Gear S watch as well. So that's kind of the talk right now, and of course the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus have been a big seller, really successful weekend of launch events, so that went well. And we rolled out new rate plans. We have a new CEO, so there's so many things going on right now. It's been quite busy. Yeah.
What you guys have zero down iPhone for life plan? You don't have to pay the $200. You do a 24 lease option or something?
Yeah, they have the iPhone for life plan. So it is basically you get every 2 years you get a new iPhone with this plan, and yeah, so it's quite a great plan, especially if you're into an iPhone and you always want the latest and greatest iPhone. You still have to wait every 2 years, but still at least that way you're guaranteed a new iPhone every 2 years. So yeah, so
I mean, like, how's that different than paying the $200?
Yeah,
it's the iPhone or something.
You just pay, I believe it's $70 a month, and then you get your unlimited talk, text, and the iPhone, I believe. And I must say that I am not representing Sprint specifically on the show. I'm going by, because I'm not in sales, so I'm just kind of, I don't want to like quote myself and say, she said Jennifer said it was this. But but yeah, I believe it's like $70 a month, and you just get every 2 years you get a new iPhone, and it's unlimited talk, text, and data. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all. Yeah, and then they launched some other new unlimited plans and some family share plans, some really affordable price points. So it's the whole 2-year thing is kind of going away with the carriers. I don't know if you've noticed that.
To zero down, you basically after 24 months you have to give them your phone back, and then they give you a new iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not bad. What they're doing is tapping into the resale values of iPhone, where they end up selling really well. I mean, I've always sold my iPhone for pretty much what I paid for it every year, and just flip it. And I jumped between carriers to make that happen once, and ended up being a great deal. So, but they're just taking in and saying, you got to give me back your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's kind of like, I mean, you either sell it yourself, and in this case, you give it back to Sprint, and then we give you a new iPhone. And for $70 a month, it's not a bad deal at all. It's a pretty good deal,
Somebody was telling me they were getting up to $500 for used 5Ss.
Yeah.
What is that about?
I'm gonna have to sell my 5S when it comes down to it.
I remember when 5S came out, it was worth $10,000 on eBay because I had one of the first gold ones.
What? Was it going that high?
It was $10,000. They were selling the first gold one on eBay.
Oh my gosh. That is insane. What about all this Chinese stuff, right, going on with all the people in line for the iPhone? And I think I read something that what you wrote on Facebook, and I agree with that. I think that definitely kind of inflates the figures for the actual U.S.
Well, they came out more in droves, I think, to substantiate the black market. I mean, you saw so many people that were Oriental that were taking advantage of it, and so you kind of have to wonder. Were those sales really driven by consumers, or were those really sales that were driven by basic wholesalers that wanted to make a buck?
Yeah, but what is the difference though in sales? What if somebody's buying it to resell it? The bottom line is somebody buys it.
They say the lines were longer this time, and people were stacked up more to buy. I don't think it was because there was more demand for the phone. I think there was more demand for people to make top dollar, knowing that the Chinese market was closed off. I mean, I know a few people that they buy hundreds of people to ship phones to overseas, namely Dubai, and
so Chris,
they've done videos where they show you like the whole line. They own the line pretty much.
So my question is, in this case, I heard two stories. So one story is that there were people in line to buy phones to resell them locally, basically paying someone to sit in line for 2 days. And there's stories of them shipping them to different markets. Are you saying you think the primary purchase power of the majority of these people who are standing in these lines were actually buying phones to ship them overseas?
Yeah, here's how big the demand is to be cool. A lot of those phones were put on speedboats and zipped out of the country, so that the idea is that night when they went on to whatever the latest club is in Hong Kong, they would have the iPhone in their hand or whatever in China. And the Hong Kong police, I think, actually stopped one of the speedboats and found 130 iPhone 6s on it and confiscated them. So I mean, that's how big the demand is. And with China getting cut off, I mean, the demand was going to be huge. I mean, they're probably selling those things for God knows how much.
Yeah.
And so I think the lines, they showed how long the lines were, and the lines were really crazy. But, a lot of it was people buy it were shipping them out. And so you have to wonder, is it really that popular with consumers, or is that popular with that black marketers? I don't know. To me, there's kind of a difference. I don't know. You don't see people doing lines for the Samsung Galaxy products, but it sells well. Now, the thing that's different with Samsung that no one ever wants to acknowledge is Samsung sells their line of Galaxies all year round. iPhone is one of the only ones who does this thing where it's like, we're going to make everybody wet their pants once a year and hold their pee-pee until then. And they do this big one-year offering. Well, in the meantime, Androids they just keep punching them out. And so the consumers aren't trained to be trained monkeys to come in lines. They're like, this is Samsung, the phone will come out, I'll go buy it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me. There's a different mindset with people that are Android phone buyers. They don't seem really obsessed with whether their phone is the coolest or not. Well, I don't know if that's true, considering all the arguments I see about it.
Yeah.
What most people don't realize about me is I just stir a lot of shit because it's good for sales.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I do kind of figure, you know, all of those phones that did go overseas and they do count as U.S. sales, it does seem to inflate it. But then again, would those phones have sold anyway if it weren't going overseas? And they would have. Yeah, but yeah, it is interesting. And would Apple be better in going to maybe like a 6-month life cycle on these phones rather than yearly? I don't know. I mean, they definitely stay way far behind the competition.
I think all the craziness and the hype really plays to them, and you know, people seeing that there's a demand of something that's so huge that they have to have lines. I think it completely plays to the craziness that they want to have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I certainly would change it. I mean, you got people that just go mad for the thing, and you know, I talked to some, like Joel Comm was somebody he's like, hey man, I have the 5S, and you know, I'd like to eventually move up to the 6, but I just really don't care right now. I'm not gonna go wait in line. I got better things to do with my life.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I'm like, oh, there's a healthy attitude.
Yeah, it is.
What's wrong with it?
Chris, I'll take it a step further than that. I actually said I'm not buying it until I find out if it's a good device.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not buying it. I get suckered. You know, I bought when the new MacBook Pro Retinas came out. I was one of the first people to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
It had all kinds of bugs. You know, I bought the 5 when it first came out, and there were issues. And I'm not going to play that game anymore. You know, I'll wait a little bit, let people complain about it, use it, experience it.
That's smart.
Well,
Did you with your? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I say you're stuck in it for like a year or two. So, you know, the idea that pushing it a week or two or a month even, really stressing to get that device that quickly, makes some kind of big, profound difference in your life is just crazy.
Yeah. So it's where it affects your self-esteem. You know, I just thought of something about the guy who claimed that he had the iPhone 6 in his front pocket. You know, that if you're holding that in your pocket and it's up against your leg's going to make that iPhone hot. And if you're getting lots of notifications and stuff, that iPhone's going to be hot. And at certain temperatures, that's going to make that thing even more bendy, really, when it comes down to it, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had some phones where if I leave them on like 5-minute standby times, they'll almost start overheating. They'll get crazy hot.
Mm-hmm.
We probably all had an iPhone that we left in the sun in the car overheat and it won't turn on. It shuts itself off or whatever it is, or it just won't turn on because the heat temperature is too high.
Yep, we got that.
I got thinking of it. If you're like, there's some phones that even if you're talking on them for a long time, like you're on a call, they'll really start heating up. And there may be some long-term things to this bendy thing where if people are using it and it's up against their body and it's hot, or maybe they're in a hot climate like Las Vegas or Dubai, this thing can become real porous. You could have some really wobbly iPhone things going on.
It will get more bendable and the hotter it gets. Yeah.
People would be tying the thing in knots and shit. Look, I tied my iPhone in a knot, Margaret. Hey, that's cool. Texting though. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But I got to tell you, man, all the Android people, that's like the first argument out of their mouth. Yeah, but the phone doesn't bend. Oh man, it's kind of funny. I tagged a bunch of my little trolls on Facebook who are always bragging on how great Apple is. They've all suddenly gone quiet. They've all suddenly shut up. They're not even bothering to argue. They're not even acknowledging.
They can't at this point.
Yeah, they're like, oh fuck, we're screwed.
That's it. And
then some people said they're having a lot of crashes, but I don't know. I don't know if they're having a lot of crashes or not. Mine's been working fine with me.
I haven't had any issues with iOS 8 on my 5S, but I don't have the 6 yet or the 6.
I mean, I've had a couple crashes, but nothing consistent enough to where I wouldn't just kind of go, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
There's always some kind of crash, and then I kind of expect stuff to crash with iOS 8. The one problem that is kind of pain in the dick, but it's a first world problem, is and Apple's built it into iOS 8 to address it, where app makers can go in and adjust the font sizes, but the fonts on a lot of apps are freaking huge, and there's no way to really adjust them down unless the app maker has gone into iOS 8 and made it adjustable.
Oh.
And the app maker a lot of the app makers need to go in and make adjustments for the iPhone 6 Plus, because God, it blows up the keypad for typing and stuff. It blows up the fonts and stuff, and so. But that's not a big deal. I mean, you just kind of got to wait for all the developers to get on hand, but it is a pain in the dick. You're just like, ugh.
Yeah, I kind of heard that people were complaining about that with with the 6 Plus and the apps just not looking as they should necessarily.
Big and jaggedy, and things are kind of out of whack. But you just kind of go, hey, they're going to fix it. There is a setting that they have in the iOS 8 where you can go in and you can make some adjustments to, forget where it's at, to how it displays, and you can do a slider where you adjust the text size and bold size. So you do have a drag slider in the settings you can take and adjust. But they call it apps that support dynamic type will adjust to your preferred reading size. So you'll be able to do a system-wide text size adjustment, but the app developers have to go in and update giving the support for dynamic type so that you can take and really utilize it. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I see that option in here, but I haven't played with it yet. That makes sense. It needs to be built into the app in order for it to
I don't know if you guys can see this very well.
It's coming through a little bit. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got to tell you, the keyboard, this type font is humongous. It's like half the bloody screen.
That's the whole screen. I know. That's the whole screen.
I would and if you go like this, I mean, you can't even look. You
can't even see what you're writing.
See what you're writing. It's just like, fuck. I'm like, what am I doing again? So I would like it to be about half that.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything. That's the Gmail app. In fact, most of the typeset app is still that way, which is really weird. I've tried a few different keyboards, and they're all just gargantuan like that. You're just like, fuck. But, it's no big deal. They'll fix that.
I noticed when I was using, for example, I'm a huge SwiftKey fan for Android, so of course that's the first one I put on in iOS 8, and I was noticing I was having trouble tagging, first world problem, right, but tagging on Facebook, and it wouldn't tag with SwiftKey. I'd have to go back into the default Apple keyboard in order to tag on. And
the thing is on my Androids and my iPhone, I always use the microphone where when I text, I speak my text in the microphone, and I think it was the swipe keyboard that you couldn't access the microphone.
Oh.
And I don't know about SwiftKey either, but my impression was they were both that way and didn't have access to the Siri microphone.
Let me see if SwiftKey will do it and see. Go back to... Uh-oh. There we go. Now I'm in SwiftKey. I do not see a microphone option in SwiftKey.
Yeah.
No.
So I mean, I'm just kind of like, well, you know,
Yeah.
we're going back 3 years and stuff, but I'm sure that it has something to do with giving access to the phone, or who knows what the hell the problem is. But, you know, meanwhile, kids are dying in China and some slums somewhere, and we're complaining about this bullshit. Kill me now. I'm going to hell.
Oh.
My phone won't work right at the keypad.
No, I can't tag in SwiftKey. No.
I'm going to kill myself.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
We all have our cross to bear.
Our cross to bear. Yeah. You and your bendy iPhone.
What do you guys think about the Edge? You think that's innovative or not? The Samsung Note 4 Edge. You think that's going to be something different and cool, or I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the idea of having a screen on the side of the phone. I think it's neat, it's different, but I don't know if it's gimmicky. But I look forward to playing with it.
I think it's gimmicky. One of the things that Samsung offered was that developers may be able to come up with something cool for it, which I think is kind of cool. It's like, hey, let's kick it to developers and see if they come up with some shit. Yeah. I got to kind of use it. I noticed they had like a toolbar that was running down the side of it, and that might be interesting where you can have like little customized toolbars that could run down the side. I used to have this really neat thing on my Samsung where I could slide it out from left to right, and this little toolbar would appear. It was a third-party app. And so I could click on apps really fast, and I could program it to whatever apps were at the top, or whatever apps I wanted to quick launch. And it was really nice, but I had some problems with it would have some problems interacting with the edge of the screen and me trying to do other stuff. So, like if I was trying to hit the Q button, I would have problems hitting the Q button because it would
pop out instead, the sidebar.
Yeah, it was reading there. So, I'm interested to see what developers do with it. It may be cool. All the iPhone people just crapped all over. That's not innovative. It's stupid. And it's like, no, that's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go. So it was fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see something different. You know, we haven't seen anything different in a long time. So.
I mean, everyone's like, that's stupid. Well, that's what Steve Jobs said when they came out with the Note. He's like, that's stupid. No one will ever want to use a phone over 4 inches.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think I can go back to a small phone. Like, I really like the Spy. I love the LG G3. I just love the way that feels. I don't think it's too big at all. It's a good size.
My poor friend stepped into a minefield. He texted me. He said, dude, I just held the new iPhone 6 in my hand. It's humongous. I'm like, well, obviously you'd never held 4.7 inches in your hand before.
Oh.
And then I posted on Facebook.
So I'm going to try and say this without it coming out as a sexual innuendo, and it never successfully does. But I've noticed that women seem to be much more inclined to use the larger cell phones.
Well, I think women get it because, number one, they want to do stuff. They want to see the screen. They probably watched a lot of video. But the thing about women is they always have a giant purse they can throw one in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really about front pocket. I think guys end up putting their phone in their pocket, and phones that are way too large put in their pocket is a problem.
Yeah. Women don't care. They're just like, I'll throw in the thing.
Yeah.
Is it an issue with the larger phones really? Like, because my pockets fit the bigger phones. My jeans, like I'm wearing jeans right now, and it fits fine my back pocket and my front pocket. And they're not like huge jeans; they're just like normal jeans, you know.
Well, I think there's two sides to it. I think you're probably not as big as Chris and me. So Chris wears different clothing than I do. I wear clothes that actually would be a problem with carrying a 5-inch phone is a problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, I think the reason women like it more is because women know that size matters.
Yeah.
I tried not to go down that.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. They're sick of that. They're sick of that bullshit excuse they always have to make to us about it's not about big yards, how you use it.
So it's funny you mention that.
That is bullshit. I'm sorry, it is bullshit.
We're sitting around talking. My wife and I were talking about iPhone, and I showed her the video of Kelly Ripa. I said apparently, apparently 5.5 inches just isn't big enough for Kelly Ripa, and she responds, "Who thinks it's big enough?" It's not big enough for anybody.
That's funny. That's funny. No. Well, that's true, though, about the, and that Kelly Ripa video was funny. That was really good. But it's true, though, that, it is easier for us. I do throw it in my purse but it does fit in my pocket, surprisingly. But I think maybe my pockets must be wider, I guess, perhaps.
I don't know. I just know guys, most of the men that I know, the phones that Chris likes to carry, most men I know do not want to carry a phone that large, and I've noticed that the female market seems to pick up on the phone quicker, and I do think it's clothing and
size matters.
Clothing and purses.
I think women just like I think women just like having a good, solid, thick 5.5-inch device in their hands.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Or in their pants. Or in their pants. Or in their pants. The jokes just write themselves.
It's right there. It's just there. You have to go. They're too big up.
Honey, is that 5.5 inches in your back pant? Never mind. I can't really make that.
Is that a Bendy phone, or are you happy to see me? Oh!
Yeah, what's that disease some porn stars have where they have the bendy things? There's a disease that it's some sort of
it's a bend?
DNA thing where they bend, and I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know. But you can play that in if you can figure that out, play that in with the whole iPhone, bendy iPhone thing.
No.
My phone has whatever this disorder is that Chris can't remember that porn stars tend to have.
I don't know. Okay.
Got that virus.
Bendy penis.
You Googling it?
Googling this now? Is that what we're doing?
He's Googling it. Oh my gosh! If we could just see, I probably don't need to.
It's period.
It's called Peyronie's disease. Peyronie's disease.
Yeah.
And it's confined to the penis. Thank God. I mean, God forbid you should have a curved vagina. They have a picture of it on Wikipedia. It just thought man's penis. What the fuck?
I cannot search for this.
I thought Wikipedia was like porn free. All right, I need to cover part of my screen while I try and read this properly. It's connective tissue disorder involving the growth. So I think that's going to be my joke now. That my of course no one seems to know what this disease is. That my iPhone has Peyronie's.
Porn stars will know.
They'll look it up.
Yeah.
It's where your penis looks like a banana. It's like.
Yeah.
Evidently it hurts too. I read on Playboy or something. No, I heard it. I heard it on Howard Stern. Howard Stern had a porn star on who had it.
Interesting, though.
He's like, yeah, it really hurts.
It's an actual disease. It's not just like.
It's not like a transmissible disease. I think it's genetic. So. But
yeah, I say your iPhone has that.
As long as we're on the subject, I used to have a friend all the time. Whenever the jokes about, and he'd make these jokes around women, which is really weird. But whenever the joke would come up about penis size and stuff, he'd be like, I have a really small penis, but but I have the girth of a tuna can.
My goodness gracious!
It was something, I can't remember how it was. Something like that. It's like I'm about as tall as a can of tuna, but I'm also just as round.
Oh my god!
Or something. You're just like, what the fuck? Why would any woman want that?
Like a short and stubby.
Imagine being humped by a tuna.
We started off talking about iPhones, and somehow.
I'm not sure. Well, it's just it was 5.5 inches.
You can't edit this out in post-production either, Chris. This is out.
Well, it's live on YouTube, so there's that. I think my YouTube channel gets suspended next week. So yeah, see, the LG G3 has got Peyronie's disease right there. That's
that flex.
Yeah, and it even flexes just like other things with Peyronie's disease. So yeah, I'm glad my penis doesn't do that. That would just be weird, man. Just you'd have this curved penis.
It probably wouldn't be too comfortable. It might be challenging to do certain things.
Yeah, I hear it's not. I hear it hurts because you're like, this is curved and other things aren't, and then it's kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to stab shit when your shit's bent. Because like if you stab shit like this, then it bends more and that hurts more.
Unless it's curved in the other direction, like it might.
Really talking about this? Is this really part of this? On that note.
So I think Jason is reminding me he's got to go do a thing. So I suppose we should wrap up. Anyway, Jennifer, it was nice to have you on, even though you completely turned this from a professional discussion to something of filth.
Into size, yeah. No, it was fun being on. Please feel free to invite me back whenever.
Anytime. I was going to have you on the podcast at one point, and then you went on that.
I went on a trip, and then so I just.
It looked like you were living in Europe at one point. You were over there so long.
Oh, it was wonderful. I wish I could live there for like a few months.
Yeah.
Without a job.
I hear there's plenty of homes that are available in Ukraine right now.
I'll pass. I will pass.
With free air conditioning.
Oh, so, no, thank you. That's terrible.
I'm not Russia. I didn't do it. All right. Well, sounds good. Thanks for coming by, folks, to the ChrisVossShow.com. Tell us where the internets can find you guys on the internet with thing there, whatever.
Well, for me, go ahead, Jason. You go first. Sorry.
I'm at jasonhacks.com, and I'm involved with Rewind right now, RWND in the App Store.
Download the Rewind app.
Definitely. It's such a fun app.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. And a new version comes out very soon. We have a follow feature where you can follow people, and new toys and new gimmicks coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. That's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna build my profile on there. I'm gonna become the next Vine god. Only it'll be the Rewind god, and I'll be kicking ass, taking names.
It's gonna be all that and a bag of chips.
I'm gonna be jumping right on that ability to build that platform and be the god of it. I really screwed up with Vine. I should have done a way better job at getting on Vine. I didn't think Vine was going to go, and I blew it.
I didn't think it would take off the way it did, Vine.
I didn't think it either, and it kind of it kind of ran lame. And the key was they came out with the Revine, which basically in Twitter terms is the retweet, and that's when it fucking exploded. So.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. So Rewind though. An open platform right now.
It's wide open. There are no Rewind rock stars yet.
Nice.
There is Chris Voss could be the Rewind god. He could be the guy.
I'm gonna be the Rewind guy. I've already got more views on one Rewind than anyone else, I think.
You do actually. You have the most Rewind videos, including Scobles, by the way.
Screw Scoble. Yeah, I'm gonna out-rewind him.
You got him out-rewound by like 2 over.
He's going to have to fast forward just to rewind me.
And by the way, we do have rewinds are coming out in the next version too, by the way.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be cool.
Rewind.
Yeah, because I want to follow people. Like, I want to follow Scoble, see all his rewinds and stuff. And so it'll make it easier to follow different content that you want to have. So, fun is fun.
Very cool. Good. Well, everyone check that out. Definitely.
Check it out. And then where do we find you, Jennifer? Do we get your...
Yeah, I'm at 2 different places. Jennifer Ruggiero, Ruggiero, jenniferruggiero.com has all my links on it, and then I have my little podcast, getnerdywithit.com.
I've been on getnerdywithit.com.
I'd love to have you back on, and you too, Jason, if you'd ever want to come on. I would love. I've had Andrew on just recently to talk about Rewind, and but yeah.
Awesome. You should go on there, Jason.
Yeah, are we going to talk about the length of iPhone 6s?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Bendy.
Talk about the Bendy iPhone 6. We could talk about that, definitely.
The prone.
Peronies, please.
Fun show. This has been a fun topic, definitely.
So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to ChrisVossShow.com. Be sure to tune in off. Give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, and that's it. The end. Good